And welcome to today's segment of The Power of Money. I'm your host, as always, every week, Michelle Graves, nationally known as The Money Lady. And I'm always delighted to be a part of your world for the next hour to bring information, people, concepts, etc., that can help you to direct your decisions more solidly and more financially balanced for your families as well. So today I'm delighted to have as my guest an extraordinary young woman. And you know I love young people, but I'm telling you this one is over the top as far as what she has accomplished in her very, very young life. I have as my guest Marlaine Jones. Excuse me, yes, it's Marlaine Jones, and she is president and CEO of Earth Angels Childcare Centers. They're located throughout Southwest Ohio, and she serves in excess of 400 children on a daily basis. Marlaine started her company at the ripe old age of 23. In 2003, that's right, 23 years old, this girl birthed her dream. And that's extraordinary to me. So we're going to talk about her world. You want to stay put and just listen to this remarkable woman. I have faith in the entrepreneurial spirit among our young people. I think that one of the things that we as parents and grandparents have to recognize is that everybody's not made the same. And some of us have been birthed to run our own companies, to do awesome, tremendous things in the marketplace. So my guest for the next hour is Marlaine Jones, and again, she is president and CEO of Earth Angels Childcare Centers, and she's going to be talking about her life, her story, and I just want you to sit back and be as amazed as I have been. So, how are you, Miss Lady?
I'm fine. How are you, Michelle?
I'm doing real good today. I'm just so excited about your world. I'm looking at you, and you're young and you're fresh, and you're working with young people and babies and children. So let's go back to the beginning. Let's just rewind a little bit and talk about you and what is your background. Give me your background.
Well, I graduated from the University of Louisiana at Monroe.
Okay.
I started out wanting to be a computer engineer, and times got hard and I needed to find a job, so I got a job at a family church nursery. And just working with the children and the babies every day, I kind of fell in love, and that led to me changing my major, and I went into early childhood education. And once I started my student practicum, I figured out that I didn't want to be a computer engineer anymore. I wanted to own and operate my own child care center.
So what made the decision for you in thinking to transition from being an employee of a child care center to actually being the CEO, running your own ship? What was that about?
I am just very, very, very motivated by just being my own boss. You know, I think about all the things that I see go on in the workplace, and just knowing that I just can't be one of those people who clock in every day. I would much rather do it for myself.
And when did you come upon this revelation that you couldn't work for anybody else? Were you a little child, or has this been progressive throughout your life? Have you always been the leader in the group?
I think amongst my teenage years, you know, I was very, very bullheaded, very strong-minded.
Okay.
So I think that's when I figured that thing out. Yes.
Yes, because typically with entrepreneurs, there are kind of some red flags. I shouldn't say red as in negative, but there's some indicators that would suggest that you don't do well following people.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you kind of got to that early in life. Mm-hmm. So I would have to say that you and your mother had some interesting
Let's see, me, my mother, my father, grandparents.
Yeah, I'm sure, because that's not a child that fits the normal mold if you see the world differently. Mm-hmm. How did you see the world coming up?
Well, I just, you know, I was always told by my grandmother to be the best that I could be. And so in everything that I've always done, whether it was writing a paper or, you know, changing a diaper, I want to do it the best.
My goodness gracious, that's amazing. So your grandmother said be the best you could be.
Yes.
But I wondered if she envisioned this Is your grandmother still alive?
On my mother's side, yes.
Yes, and how does she feel about all this?
She is amazed.
I know she's amazed.
She's
I'm amazed. I'm like, wow, I looked at your biography and I just said, my God. Let's go back to, so you made the transition from computer engineering. Now, that's a real transition.
Yes, it is.
From the thinking that goes along with geeks to actually being a touch field type of a person in a field that really is about children and touching and feel. So how did you make that transition?
In caring for the children, I just found that I have so much more to give than sitting in front of a desk all day. You know, I got so much out of just watching them learn, watching them grow, and I just realized it was something I could do for the rest of my life.
So let's talk about, with every kind of a business, and you started your business at 23.
Yes, ma'am.
So how long had you been out of college?
Only 3 years.
3 years out. Decided this is a done deal. I want to do this. So in March of 2003, at the great old age of 23, you said, I'm doing this. Now, with every business, we know about capital, because you can't start a business on a dream. You can have a vision, but you got to have money. So where'd your money come from?
Well, I actually started an in-house daycare in my apartment.
You
And I
started
did
in
that.
your apartment.
Yes, ma'am. I did that for a year first.
Okay,
Did that
to
for a
see
year
if you
first.
could do it.
Mm-hmm.
So how many children did you start with?
5.
You started with 5 children. How did you market your business?
Family and
Family.
friends.
So you started with 5 little people. Were they little people or
Yes.
babies? Or
Yes.
okay, so they were infants. What was the age?
Infants through 9 years old.
So you had 24-hour or just
I was first and second shift.
first and second shift? Did you have any help?
No.
It was
Just
you
me.
cooking?
Yes, ma'am.
It was you feeding
Cleaning.
them,
Yes.
cleaning them,
Yes.
diapering them,
Yes, ma'am.
loving on them?
That's right.
Wow.
That's
In
right.
your apartment.
Yes.
Did you make any money?
I sure did.
I would hope so.
I
would
sure
hope
did.
so.
I sure did.
So you did that for a year.
I did that for a year, and then with the blessings of my grandfather, before he passed,
Oh my goodness.
yes, he left me a nice nest egg.
Your grandfather capitalized your company.
Yes, my grandfather.
That is powerful.
On an 8th grade education. Let me say
The,
that.
the man was not stupid.
Yes.
Education is just a measure. Education does not tell you destiny. So your grandfather had faith in you before he died and left a legacy for you to capitalize your business.
Yes.
Viewers, did you just hear that? Did you just hear that? What have I been telling you about legacy? That you can't take this stuff with you. You cannot line up a hearse to a bank. And that you need to get your act together around the future of young people. Her grandfather, now deceased, left her money to start her company. Whew! I bet you were a shouting young girl.
Yes. Yes.
I know you were sorry for the loss, but
yes, he actually got to see me open for a while.
he got to see
He
you
got to see me
open.
for a while. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Did he give you any words of wisdom?
He just told me never give up.
Never give up.
Never give up.
Oh, but from the lips of a wise man. Woo, that makes me shiver. I'm serious because, Marlaine, I have been on this thing as an advisor for now almost 30 years, that it is imperative that grandparents leap over their children and pass legacy onto their grandchildren. Because the Bible said it's about the grandchildren. It's not about if your children didn't work it out, well, that's just, too bad. But those grandchildren, and he did that for you and got a chance to see that. So tell me about how that worked. He gave you the money, and so what did you do?
I actually got a realtor. I had me and my grandfather all over the place. I was even down in Kentucky.
Your grandfather went with you?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
Yes.
To look for a
to
facility.
look for a facility. And in doing so, I found my first location in Germantown, Ohio.
Germantown, Ohio.
Yes.
And what made you pick Germantown?
Well, actually, I was a little standoffish because at the time it was only 3% African American.
Well, that might help
Yes, but you
a
know,
little bit.
again, my grandfather said, you know, you step out on faith, and,
Yes.
and you can do this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you located your first facility in Germantown, Ohio.
Yes.
How many children?
I started out with only 10.
10 children.
One being my own.
Okay, so then you have 9 that you actually generated revenue from,
Yes.
and then your own.
Yes.
And were they Caucasian, Black,
Yes.
Latino?
They were Caucasian.
They were all Caucasian
Yes.
children in yours.
Mhm.
My were girls, predominantly boys, mixed
It
group.
was mixed.
Mixed group.
Mixed group.
What were their ages?
From infants through 12 years.
Really? So you had after school care as well?
Yes.
Okay, so you started out with a base of 10 in Germantown.
Mm-hmm.
And so tell me the story.
In a 6,000 square foot facility.
6,000 square foot. Was this a commercial space?
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
my goodness.
With only 9 children, times got hard pretty fast.
Yes.
So I then had to figure out what am I going to do for additional revenue.
Right.
I actually got linked up with a company called Citywide,
Okay.
County Court, which was downtown Dayton.
Okay.
And I had to do projections, 5-year projections.
Right.
I had
Your pro formas. Yes.
Yes, I had to sit and, you know, put my business plan in action.
Right.
And so in doing so, they offered me a check for $25,000, which was a huge blessing.
Oh
It was very
my
much
God. They gave you $25,000. Was this capital or was this just a loan or a grant or what?
needed. It was capital. It was like a grant.
They gave you a grant.
Mm-hmm.
God is good.
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Mm.
And so after I received that money, I actually bought me a van
So you bought a van.
and started providing transportation to and from home.
So help me to understand, because this is real forward thinking.
Yes,
You bought a van
Mhm.
with the money,
with the money.
and then you offered personalized service,
Yes.
pickup and delivery of their children.
All ages, to and from home, to and from school.
You would pick them up from school,
Mhm.
so their parents didn't have to come.
Yes.
Now let me ask you, because you know I'm a business. Did you charge more for that service?
No, I did not.
It was just a part of your operations.
It was just a perk.
What a nice perk.
Mhm.
So their children could be picked up from home.
Yes.
The children could be picked up from school.
Yes.
The children could be transported back to home. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes. And we still do that to this day.
You still do this?
Yes.
How did you deal with the issue of bonding and liability because you're carting children around?
Well, insurance in the beginning was really, really expensive.
I'm sure it was.
You know, now I have an insurance company who runs BMVs, you know, almost every month, you know, for all of my drivers, just making sure, you know, everyone is drug tested.
Absolutely.
You know, positive, stays clean. I mean, it's really in depth at this point, yes.
So your drivers are a separate component of your operations?
Yes,
You have got to know that that's another income stream on its own.
it is.
Period. Just parents knowing that their kids can be picked up.
I actually receive calls all the time now of just families wanting to know, can you just pick my children up from school and bring them home? You know, parents that are not even enrolled in my actual facility.
Well, that's
yes.
what I was talking about. That just segues fairly naturally to me into another income stream for your corporation for revenue. Because people trying to maneuver to pick, I mean, I've raised 3 children, and the daycare situation is a deep thing. It'll have you behaving in ways, driving like a crazy person. Get out of my way! I gotta get these kids picked up by 6 o'clock, or else they're gonna do something to them. So, have you thought about that? We're gonna come back, but I'm just curious. Have you thought about that as another income stream?
I have.
Okay,
I have.
you should.
Yes.
I mean, the world is your oyster. Why not? You're young. My God, you can do a lot of things. You can blow yourself up a lot of times and still be okay because you're young. That's a positive thing. So you started with this 25,000 seed money. Well, actually, your grandfather's money was birthing money.
Yes.
That was birthing.
Yes.
So now you got seed money coming in, but it brings you into the discipline of doing a business plan, right? And projections and pro formas and all the things that a banker wants to look at. For you to tell them you're not some kind of crazy person. You know what you're doing. You're a business person. So they give you 25, you buy a van, and you add it as a perk. Did not your enrollment grow up almost immediately?
It took off.
I just know it did.
It took off.
So you went from 10 children in Germantown to how many?
To capacity at 92.
92 in how long?
I would say 8 to 9 months.
You were at capacity in 8 to 9 months.
Which actually led to a build up of additional 4,000 square foot.
So you did a build out, you
Yes.
added more space.
Yes.
So you stayed where you were and you just expanded. And that's always more capital. So was it the bank or was it you?
It was the vans.
Oh, thank you.
The vans, the transportation.
Brought in that extra money.
Yes, it did.
Ah, that is so wonderful. So you go from a 6,000 square foot
To a 10,000.
to a 10,000
Square foot.
square foot. And so now what is your capacity? From 92 to what?
157.
So 157, does that become your standard as far as duplication?
No, my 2 latest locations, which were built from the ground up.
Ground up, oh, come on now. Stop, wait a minute, we're not gonna talk about the 2. Let's talk about so you go from this 6 to this 10. So what's your next move?
So my next move was in 2007, where I was just actually flipping through a real estate catalog and found a daycare center, and it was actually still operating. The lady that had it actually owned it for 20 years.
Okay.
Her father-in-law had built it for her as a daycare center, and so I came along and I purchased not only the building, but the business. So it was already in operation, so I started
so
making
now
money.
You're into acquisitions.
Started making
How
money from
old were
there.
you then?
I was 27.
Oh my God, you're scary.
27.
So you did your first acquisition at 27, where you purchased her assets. You didn't need the name.
No.
You didn't need the name, but you did purchase her book of business, and you did purchase her real estate, and fixtures and all the other things.
Equipment,
everything.
Everything.
How many children did she have?
It was, I believe, 70. Close.
She 70. Did you grow that one out?
Yes. Yes. My Bellbrook location is at capacity, and I actually I'm open 7 days a week.
Okay, now what location is that?
Bellbrook.
So you're now from Germantown to Bellbrook.
Yes.
And you have started out with 72, and you grew it to
101.
101 little people. And you say that one, what's your marketing push on that one? 7 days a week?
7 days a week.
7 days a week, 24/7, or just 7 days a week?
From 6 a.m. to midnight.
You're open from 6 a.m. in the morning till midnight?
Yes.
That's almost 24 hours. And what do they get at this location that they don't get at your first location?
Just more hours of operation, second shift, Saturday and Sunday care, weekend care, in addition to the transportation piece.
So you still pick the children up, you still take them to their parents' home, and goodness gracious, can a parent leave a child for literally from 6 to midnight? Like
No.
so they have to pick them up in that designated time.
Yes.
So do you offer alternatives for parents that would like to take time off on a Friday evening to do a date, or Thursday and have extra hours at the center for them?
Yes.
You offer that service
Yes.
as well, getaway time? Because you know parents need a break.
Yes.
Because kids will take you there. Between the job and the family and the little people, I mean, sometimes women are like, I need to leap up out of here.
Let the hair down. Yes.
Yeah, let her get, pamper time and hair and nails and those kinds of things. So you offer that service as well for an additional cost?
Yes.
May I ask how much is that cost?
$33
All you charge is $33?
per child.
Per child?
Yes.
To get away?
Yes.
Oh, shoot. Viewers, Bring that camera to me. Viewers, you need to do that. I'm so serious. If I had something like that when I was young, maybe I wouldn't be so kooky today. Anyway, moving on. Let's continue to talk about your world, and if you don't mind sharing some more.
Okay.
Okay?
I am.
Come on.
In 2010, the same realtor that helped me find the Bellbrook location introduced me to the VP of a construction company, which was called Associate Construction.
Okay.
And we decided, they had land for sale, and we decided on a lot in Carlisle. And within 9 months, my Carlisle location was built and ready to operate.
So you built from ground up.
From ground up. Third location is built from the ground up.
May I ask you, did you self-fund this or did the bank get involved?
Well, up front, I had to
Okay.
put down 10% of my liquid cash, and then the bank financed the rest.
But Madeline, banks don't do 90% on commercial loans. So you must have a good relationship with your bank.
Yes.
Because I'm telling you, commercial loans are not financed at a 90% loan to value.
Right. Well, we did what's called a 504,
Okay.
which is the 50/40.
Okay.
Yes.
And that was financed with 10% of your own money, and you
Yes.
leveraged bank money,
Yes.
and you built a third location.
Mm-hmm.
And how old were you then?
I was 31.
31.
Mhm.
Woo, you're moving fast, girl.
Mm-hmm.
So how did this location work out? Carlisle, you say?
Carlisle, Ohio, yes.
Carlisle, Ohio. Again, in these little suburban, it looks like these are all suburban locations. Okay. And was that a strategic reason for that,
Yes, there was definitely a need in that area.
for these things? So did you do your market research before you made those build decisions?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so you looked at the need, you looked
How
at the
many
competition.
single-family homes?
Right,
and-
growing area. Did you target any particular group, like the upscale or executives or working people, or you just said, come on,
There's a need.
period?
There's a need.
Okay,
right.
so Carlisle was built, and how many children does Carlisle have?
Right now, we're currently at 74.
And what is your capacity?
101.
Okay, so you're growing Carlisle.
Yes.
Okay, now that's 3. We're up to 3, so give me 4.
4 was just
Jeez.
2011.
2011.
Yes.
And you got an itch to do more.
Yes, another groundbreaking, Monroe, Ohio.
Monroe, now you're getting in my neck of the woods. Yeah, going down south.
Mm-hmm.
And Monroe is a fast-growing community, a
Yes, it
very,
is.
very upscale community, I would characterize
Mm-hmm.
in so many ways, as an, again, a suburban facility. So that was ground up,
Mm-hmm.
funded it yourself, or did you leverage?
Same thing.
Oh,
Same
you
thing as
leveraged.
Carlisle, Yes.
Your bank must be loving you.
Mm-hmm.
I know they are. They're looking at cash flow, because I know you got a deposit with them. That's a must. They're looking at cash flow. They're looking at collected balances, and they're looking at what they're making in terms of that construction, because they did the construction financing as well as the end financing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yikes. Monroe.
It's a lot. Monroe, Ohio.
Okay, how many children?
Same thing. Right now, Monroe is actually still growing.
Yes.
We're right at about 40, 44 children.
40, 44.
And,
Still with the van situation?
Yes, we have room for more, yes.
Okay.
So we're actually now in the process of purchasing 2 new buses to actually get the transportation piece in place there.
Okay, so you found that there was a need.
Yes,
Of course. So that's 4.
yes.
So what's 5?
What's next, huh?
Yes, what's next?
You know, I think I'm in a place now where I might need to take a break just for a little
No
while.
kidding.
Just
Did
for
you
a
say
little
take
while.
a break?
Take a break.
That's funny. Because
Just
I am
just for a
tired
short period.
listening to you. I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, You want to take a break.
break.
So what do you want to do?
Well, I think I
Because
just
you're
want to
high
concentrate.
energy. Clearly, you're an alpha female. You're type A. No question.
Right.
You are getting it. Keep going.
I just want to concentrate on, getting, all 4 locations running smoothly, definitely improving the quality of care and just looking at some other programs that I want to be able to offer those families that are in need.
Okay, what kinds of programs are you thinking? Not
Like
trying
maybe-
to look at your competition, but what are you thinking?
Like just maybe servicing those children with autism, special needs children. There's a really high need for that. And just focusing on in certain areas the at-risk children population. There's definitely a need for that as well.
Okay.
So that's where I'm
So
at
let
right
me
now.
ask you this, because I too share your concerns about opportunities and needs in the marketplace. And autism is a issue. How do those children, do you deal with autistic children in your facilities?
Yes, we do.
How do you deal with that?
Well, we have, right now we have a behavior specialist at my Bellbrook location.
A behavioral specialist?
Yes.
On staff?
On staff, yes.
On staff?
Yes.
My God. You have a paid behavioral specialist
Yes.
at that location.
Yes.
Are the children evaluated
Yes, they are.
up front or through the process?
Through the process, once we evaluate them and we see that there's a need, we step it up a notch. We actually bring in Help Me Grow to do some evaluations to help us as well. But I think that I want to really zero in on that, because once you make a lot of the parents aware, sometimes they're in denial.
About their child's behavior?
Yes. And so I just would like to see, more professionalism and more people coming in saying, hey, let's sit down and have a talk and let's do what we need to do to help this particular child.
Now this is profound, so you have an on-site. Now, is this person available for your other locations as well, or are they just specifically to that location?
Right now she's just at the Bellbrook location.
She is?
Yes.
Well, so you're dealing with the issue of autism, which is profound, because they don't interface with other children in the same way.
Right.
So what are parents in denial about? Do they actually believe that that's normative behavior?
Yes, a lot of times they do. I just think that they, nobody really wants to hear something's wrong with my child.
Right, but different. I won't say wrong.
But different, yeah.
Different. It's different.
It just makes it tough trying to convey that they need help.
But they would have to know, because I'm sure you're not the only person
Right.
that has said something.
Right.
I mean, parents may be in denial, but there it is. Okay. So you bring in a specialist who does an evaluation. So what changes as a result of that process?
What changes?
Yeah.
We're able to, have, like I said, Help Me Grow come in.
Now, Help Me Grow, what is that?
It's an entity where, children with disabilities, they're able to go to like speech therapists or, any kind of specialist that they need to get the help that they need. And we also work with Children's Services to have them come inside the center and spend time with the children as well.
Okay, interactive time. Okay.
Yes.
So are these children that have special needs, in the children's population, do they interface with the other children?
Yes.
They do?
Just depending on where they are.
Okay.
Every situation is unique. So.
I'm sure it is, because children are all so different. They come here wired in so many ways. It's like, what? So you have this going on. Do you, or have you considered bringing in a nutritionist or someone to look at diet and how they're eating?
That would be a great idea. That would be something that, yes, we would be definitely interested in looking into.
I would like to, and I know this is not a part of this interview format, but it is something that I'm deeply committed to and have been for many years, and that is the organic lifestyle and the elimination of all the preservatives and all of the really challenging chemicals that are put in food that children eat. And we know from studies, Marlaine, that even in the womb, when a child is born, they've identified something like over 100 different chemicals that have crossed over through the placenta into the child from what the mother has eaten. And these children are wired for sound. They're wired.
I agree.
Yeah, and I don't mean to be create problems, but you cannot feed children fast food. I do not believe that. My children were never allowed to eat fast food. And they talk about me badly now that everybody else was eating a canned food and fish sticks, and I told them a fish doesn't look like that, and I'm not eating something like that, and I'm not going to feed you something like that. So everything had to be fresh, and even down to we would go to Amish farm because I'm much older, and they didn't have all this organic stuff. So if you wanted to eat a real chicken, you had to get him. And I would take them with me, and we would actually pick out chickens.
Wow.
And yeah, and the Amish would dress them, and I'd come back and get them. It was a drive. It's like an hour drive to get to the communities. But a fresh chicken does not taste like a store chicken. Period. It just doesn't. It's a delicious chicken. But I say this because I really feel that what you're doing is so on cutting edge. I'm so serious, and I'm so with you on this. But I'd like to challenge you to look at nutrition and getting children, particularly children with challenges, into a diet that emphasizes health and healthy food and non-processed food without chemicals.
Right.
And give them a leap of something. You know, do that. I know it's going to be hard.
Right.
I know that, but I think you're in a controlled environment, and the data will support you now, because the data is there, Marlaine. The data is right there that says that eating defines how our brain processes stuff.
Yes.
So if you're eating a lot of chemicals and fast foods and junk foods and Twinkies, oh, I'm so glad Twinkies are gone. People are like, oh, I can't believe Twinkies are gone. I'm like, hallelujah, hallelujah. Anything that has a shelf life of indefinite, that's a problem.
Right.
You know, now come on now. You know, oh, it tastes so good. I'm like, yeah, your body's like, right.
What is this?
What is this? Okay. So you are looking to fine tune your operations to include maybe more specialized services for these children?
Yes.
Is it a reasonable assertion that parents that have children with challenges that need specialized care should anticipate having to pay more?
I think so, yes.
I think that is too.
Yes.
I know it's sad, but again.
But to bring in those individuals that have the background, the experience, the credentials to deal with children with special needs, they need to be compensated.
I absolutely and totally agree.
Yes.
So these children are integrated in with your regular child population.
Yes.
And how do the other children react?
The
children are mean.
They are.
Oh
they
my
can
gosh.
Be. They can be.
They can be mean.
But you know, we do a lot of story time. We do a lot of books that focus on, you know, children with special needs. And so I think in doing that, you know, and just teaching them to be helpful and be respectful.
Yes, right.
You know, we're actually implementing a thing called conscious discipline at my Bellbrook location.
Tell me about that.
It is, the author of it is Becky Bailey. And it just teaches principles to children of how to be helpful, how to respect one another, you know, how to share, you know, things that toddlers and preschoolers struggle with, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I can imagine a 2-year-old trying to share. Because it's something they don't want to do. Are they born like that, or is that learned behavior?
I think that's a learned behavior.
I think it is, too.
I think that's a learned behavior.
Yes. From them observing how big people act, and they just replicate it.
Yes.
So how do you break those? You teach them, you reinforce behavior?
You know, it's a matter of just redirecting behaviors and, you know, getting them to see that, you know, the response of the other child, you know, when you hit them or when you take something away from them, or, you know, does he have a happy face? No. He doesn't have a happy face. So.
Wow, that is absolutely wonderful.
Yes.
So you actually, now what was the name of this lady?
Conscious Discipline by
Conscious Discipline.
Becky Bailey.
Let me say that again. Viewers, Conscious Discipline, Becky Bailey. Get the book. Good book?
Yes.
Good.
Several books.
Several books.
Yes.
Recommend them?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
So you use that model with your children, no matter whether they're special needs or not.
Right.
You do this, right?
Yes.
Okay. So how do the children behave? How do you maintain order?
They've been really receptive to it. I think it has a lot to do with the way the staff implement the techniques. And they've been really, really receptive. We've seen a lot of change in a lot of the children with behaviors.
Really?
Yes.
And what about the other children?
Yes, slowly but surely.
Slowly but surely.
Yes.
Let's talk about your staff. How did you find good people? Because you were doing it on your own, and at some point you have to walk away and start moving into management.
Right.
So how do you hire your people?
Well, we have a really extreme hiring process. You know, you go through 2 interviews. You have to be able to pass a federal and a state background check.
Of course.
And we actually been seeking individuals with at least 2 years experience and that have their CDAs, which is kind of like a child care credential, so to speak.
Okay.
So in doing so and having just a more in-depth criteria, it's enabled us to get some more professional people.
So what is your ideal candidate?
Someone who understands every age group, who has the credential I just spoke about, and I think that just has a passion for child care.
Okay. So how do you know a person has a passion for child care? By sitting across the desk from them?
Oh, we do working interviews. We put them in the classroom.
Oh, you put them in a
Yes.
classroom and see how they behave?
Yes. See how they interact with the children.
Now, do your classrooms have any closed circuit televisions or anything like that going on today where you get a chance to watch the children in action?
I have surveillance cameras in my office.
Okay,
so
all
I
righty.
can watch.
Okay, so
Yes.
that okay.
Yes.
Good. So the children, you get a chance to observe the interaction.
Yes.
Wonderful. Are parents or prospective parents allowed to observe?
Yes.
They can
Anytime.
come
Anytime.
and watch.
Anytime.
So let's talk about what does a typical day look like at your facility?
Which one?
Oh, I'm trying to think. You are just such a diva up in here. Let's start with Germantown.
Germantown.
Yeah, what does a day begin like?
Well, because Germantown closes at 6:30, operation hours 6 a.m., 6:30, so we'll say from 6 to 8:30, breakfast.
You serve breakfast?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Those children who are going to school, of course, get on the bus, go to school. We have circle time where we go over, name recognition, ABCs, numbers, 1, 2, 3s, all of that sort. And then maybe about 11:30, 12:30ish, lunch, of course.
Okay.
And then we have nap time.
Okay, you actually do nap time.
We actually do nap time, yes.
Good.
And then once they get up from nap, maybe around 1:30, 2 o'clock, we have a PM snack.
Okay.
So there's 3 meals a day that
good.
we provide.
Okay. In your fees?
Yes.
My goodness gracious. Okay. So they have a fairly structured environment.
Yes.
Where is their freedom of expression? Does that, I mean, children are going to express themselves anyway, but do you have any type of a profile or platform like Montessori, or is it just Marlene's way?
Yeah, not at this time.
Okay.
Our preschool program, we actually do a curriculum. It's offered by Funshine Express.
Okay.
And the children seem to really enjoy it. They do have a period during the day where it's kind of like free play. They get to go outside and, play, enjoy themselves. So yes.
Now let me ask you this, because there's an ongoing conversation about children today being so techno savvy and knowing how to do everything from iPads to phones and computers. Do you get much into that with them, or is that left up to the parents?
Well, I do actually have computers.
My goodness.
In my location. Starts in the preschool room.
So they start with computers in preschool. What age is that, may I ask?
3.
3 years old, they're playing with computers. Marlaine, that's very challenging for people like me, because it's very different to see a 3-year-old texting quickly. They're not kidding either.
Yeah.
So you are teaching them early how to embrace that technology?
Yes, just on a regular computer. I like to actually get to a point though where each child is able to have their own iPad, laptop, so to speak, to indulge in the curriculum and the ABC Mouse and those programs out there that are offered to help them learn.
That is amazing. I just bet you there's grant money for that.
I love to see.
I bet you there's grant money. I'm just thinking about Bill Gates and some of the other resources where they would use your schools as models for children and little people and be able to even ample. Because they have a vested interest in children knowing the technology, because those are their future customers.
Yes.
Yes, so think about that. That's very powerful. So you have, they get the experience with computers, and hopefully it's reinforced in their home environment as well, so that they learn the positives of computer technology today. So are there any children that are already showing themselves to be geeks?
Yes.
I just wondered, are there any analytical personalities up in there that are showing themselves to like that technology?
Yes, some more than others.
Okay, that's all right. That's all right. It's a big world and everybody has a place. But I was just curious if you have children that are showing themselves to just grasp that technology like that and gone on to something else. More males than females, or does it matter?
I would say more males.
More males?
Yeah, you see the young men in the classroom that like to kind of be the helpers and kind of show everybody else how to do it. So
that's
to speak.
Okay.
Yes,
that's all right. They'll be our IT guys. They'll be our IT guys as we move down the path. What is, as you look over your life, what is your working philosophy?
Working philosophy.
Yes, gets you through the day.
My working philosophy is to put children first.
Children first.
And again, it goes back to my grandfather, never give up.
And never give up.
Yep.
That is amazing. What can you say to parents that are watching this show about children today? Because we're in such a different time.
I think that the best thing a parent can do is just make sure they give their children their undivided attention each and every day.
Now, how does that work, though? Because parents are juggling work time, and then so many parents are single, and they're trying to juggle home time with cooking and trying to downsize themselves mentally. How does that happen? How does a child get your unconditional attention?
I think that if you just make that choice to dedicate at least 1 hour a day to it's just me and you.
Wow.
Whether it's at dinner time, when dinner starts, just having a conversation with your child, whether it's helping with homework or asking them how their day went, If you just dedicate that time, they really, really need that.
What does a child say when you ask them, how did your day go?
Well, my son is always, well, Mommy, how did your day go?
Yes,
he wants to know how my day went first.
Does he?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And what does he say when you say, my day's been interesting? Does he say more? Does he, or do you open
he's like, well, that's good. And so I'm like, well, Xavier, how was your day today? What'd you do? What the teacher say? What'd you learn new today? Sometimes he can tell me what he learned new today, or sometimes he says, Mommy, I was on red, or Mommy, I was on green. It's just every day is different, but I just enjoy him knowing that, I care and I dedicate that time to see how he's feeling.
So nobody has to compete with his time.
That's right.
I will tell you very candidly, as a single mother and business owner, that was hard. That was hard. In the day, because I'm not a young woman any longer, in the day there was no support systems for that type of agenda. And women that were out here, it was just like, you just better work it out. So my children actually wound up being a part of my board meetings, a part of my staff meetings, and Saturdays. They were with me, because the systems were not there then. Now, and it did make them very independent kind of people. They have opinions about everything. Sometimes I wish they didn't have any, but they do, because they're adults and they share these things. But I'm glad to see that you do feel that parents need to encourage their children to interface and interact. I will tell you that my 3-year-old at that time, who's now almost 30, she was sharing with me when I used to ask her about credit decisions on loans I was making, and I told her, she'd say, "What's the profile, Mommy?" And I would tell her, "Well, this is this and this and this." And I said, "Dude, should I make this loan? I know you all don't believe it, but it's the truth. Should I make this loan?" And she would say, "No, don't make the loan. They don't pay their bills." I would be like, and she says this today. She says, "Mom, do you remember you would ask me these questions, and you were like, should I make this loan?" And she said, and I would say, no, don't make that loan because they don't pay their bills. And of course, she has no interest in banking or none of that. She's like, "Oh no, I got enough of that growing up. I don't want nothing like that today." But that is very, very, very vibrant. So as we move forward, where are you going next? You're going to take some time off to kind of meditate. Don't take too much time off. I can't even see that.
I think those that know me and know me well know that I won't take long.
I don't think so.
I won't take long.
So where do you want to go? I'm excited about this specialized care, though.
I just see myself. I definitely want to continue to build more locations.
Yes.
In the future. I think that I like to see myself maybe venture off to another state.
Yeah. Why not?
I'm not sure where that is just
Doesn't
now,
matter.
but I'd like to see.
It's a big world. Don't forget other countries. See, the even bigger world. Think big. No, people say big. I say bigger. Think bigger.
Yes.
Because people have children all over the world. And if you have systems in place, that's tremendous venue. That's tremendous. People all over the world are trying to figure out this daycare thing. And every woman that gives birth, if she's not planning on being at home, and most are not, for financial reasons or all kinds of reasons, then the issue of daycare is critical, and having a safe environment for their children. All mothers, I don't care what your race or nationality, all mothers want their children to be okay.
Yes.
Wouldn't you say so?
I agree totally.
Yeah. Do you ever run into situations, and this is kind of off the beaten path, where child abuse, have you bumped into situations where the parents abuse their children?
Yes. Sad, but yes.
Are you able, how do you deal with that?
We actually, we intervene, and we have children's services come in,
Really?
Just as a child care provider, and my staff members, all of us are mandated reporters.
See, I didn't even know that. So in the daycare environment, you have to report oddities with the children.
Yes. Any suspicion.
Any suspicion.
Yes.
So you don't get the parents involved, you just immediately do what you are required to do by law.
Yes.
But that's good. That is good, because that means a family needs help.
Children first.
Children first. Children first. Is a lot of the acting out because children don't have boundaries? Or that they just, things are going on at home that are not good, do you find?
I think it's because things are going on at home that are not good.
And the child is stressed.
Certain things that they've been exposed to. Yes.
I have a situation right now where a very dear friend of mine has gone back into she's an accomplished, nationally known artist, and she went back and got her master's in art and special education to go into the school system, and she is trying to work off her debt obligation in a inner city school. And people, before you say inner city, meaning poor blacks, not true today, poor children, period.
Yes.
And she is overwhelmed. She is absolutely overwhelmed. She has 40 children 8 times a day because they have to take art. So that's, right, 40 times 3 is, it's a lot of,
20.
Yeah. Now with 4 times 8 is 320, and she has 2 series, so that's 640 children she interfaces with. And she shared with me her travails. I just listened. And I tell you, Marlaine, children are going through it. She talked about the parents not even coming to pick the children up. They don't even show up to pick the child up. And I said, what? She said, Michelle, they just don't show up. And I said, well, what do you do? She said, we have to frantically try to find someone to come and get the child. And I said to myself, what is that about? Is this where we are today?
I see it all the time myself.
How do they forget their child?
I think that it's just a matter of them having their priorities in other places. And, a lot of times they have to reach out to, grandparents and aunts and uncles to intervene and do what's required to take care of the child.
Do you run into a lot of grandparents that are taking care of children?
Yes, we do.
I bet you do.
Yes, we do.
I bet you do. That's actually a good thing.
Yes.
I know grandparents don't necessarily feel it is, but somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
And I think grandparents bring such wisdom and maturity to the table. And so that's interesting as well, talking to them. How are their views about your facilities? Do you get comments and constructive?
I get a lot of grandparents that love the transportation piece.
I know they do.
That's a huge convenience for them, especially the ones that don't drive anymore.
Yeah.
It's a nice perk to have.
Yeah.
But I had a grandma tell me the other day, Miss Lane, I just don't know what I'd do without you. You and Earth Angels.
What a compliment. I mean, but I think that transportation thing is so amazing. And I actually believe that you have the chutzpah to take this whole thing about children to the next level, because it's more than child care. Actually, it's child development. I mean, when you think about care, that's one thing. We care about children, but you also are involved in development as well. And I think that's very, very powerful. And to be a young woman with fresh and new ideas about children and parenting and putting children first. I know when I grew up, children were supposed to be quiet and sit in a corner. And we actually weren't allowed to sit with the big people. We all sat together. And I think a lot of those thoughts have changed now, and children are allowed to participate. But I think in a way, there's still got to be boundaries. Children are children. Do you find that to be too conservative?
No, I think a child needs to stay in a child's place, of course. I think that a lot of times, it sometimes it depends on the age of the parent.
Okay.
Younger parents tend to, have their children around in conversations that they shouldn't be a part of.
Exactly.
Versus a older parent who understands clearly, this is an adult conversation and you need to leave the room.
Yes, and you're going to leave the room, sweetheart.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Now, I find children to be absolutely fascinating, and I think the challenge, because actually they're spending a large portion of their life with you.
Yes.
And so your philosophy and your vision and your values have to transfer to them, which is exciting to me. So in 20 years, they're going to come back and bring their children and say, that was my second mom.
Yep.
I mean, really, that's the way it is. Do you have a telephone number that you can give our viewers?
Sure.
Okay, would you please give it?
937
937
608
608
8357.
8357. So let's say it again.
937
Okay.
608 8357.
And you have locations in Monroe, Ohio,
Carlisle,
Ohio,
Bellbrook,
Ohio,
and Germantown.
and Germantown, Ohio. And a soon to be announced another location. I'm just coming soon to a new location. I think that this has been such an awesome interview.
Thank you.
And you just know I just bless you so much. Your vision and your just your vision and your willingness to get out here and get it done. That is so right now. And I just want you to be such an example for so many other younger people that have visions and dreams and don't necessarily have the support systems. They can look at this interview and they can be greatly encouraged.
Dream bigger.
Dream bigger. Did you all hear that? Did you all hear that? As we conclude today's segment of The Power of Money with my special guest, Superwoman. Exactly. Let me encourage all of you to have an amazing, abundant, prosperous day. Stay away from haters and stinky people and toxic people because they're not going nowhere anyway. And if you're like that, get over it. Life's too short. Live life larger. And as Marlaine Jones, CEO of Earth Angels Childcare, as she says, bigger. I like that. I always say big, but bigger. Thank you for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you again. God bless you richly. You take care.